ever just sit there staring at the ceiling, feeling like life just hit you with a heavyweight punch? And you're like, God, how do I handle this? What am I supposed to do now? See, we've all been there. That moment when the pressure feels unbearable, when the storm won't let up, when the people you trusted disappear, when the plan you had crumbles right in front of you. And in that moment, you look up, whisper, or maybe even scream, God, what now? But listen, I want you to hear me today. Because if you're asking that question, it means you're still in the fight. And if you're still in the fight, that means God isn't done with you yet. So let's talk about it. Let's break it down, because there is a way through this. And I promise you, this moment, this struggle is not the end of your story. Life has a way of throwing challenges at us when we least expect them. One moment everything seems fine, and the next we're standing in the middle of chaos, wondering how we even got there. The natural instinct is to push it down, pretend it's not happening, or convince ourselves that we're fine. But ignoring the struggle doesn't make it disappear. It just buries it deeper, where it grows in silence, waiting for the right moment to resurface even stronger. Pain, frustration, disappointment, these emotions are real and they demand to be acknowledged. You can't heal from something you refuse to admit is hurting you. Too often people think being strong means acting like nothing affects them. But real strength is in the ability to face the storm head on. It's in saying, yes, this is hard. Yes, this hurts. Yes, I feel lost right now. That's not weakness. That's the first step toward power. Avoiding struggles only gives them control over you. When you suppress what you feel, it doesn't go away, it lingers, showing up in other areas of your life. It creates tension, drains your energy, and clouds your judgment. But when you acknowledge it, you take the first step in reclaiming your power. You shift from being a victim of your circumstances to someone who's ready to confront them. The truth is, every challenge carries a lesson, but you can't learn from something you refuse to face. It might be painful, it might be uncomfortable, but nothing great ever came from running away. The sooner you stop pretending it's not there, the sooner you can begin to understand it, work through it, and ultimately grow from it. When life hits hard, the first reaction is often to complain, vent, or question why things are happening the way they are. It's human nature to want immediate relief from pain, uncertainty, and struggle. But simply complaining about a situation doesn't bring clarity, direction, or strength. It only amplifies frustration and keeps you stuck in a cycle of negativity. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, shift the question to, what am I supposed to learn from this? What is my next step? When you ask, you invite wisdom. When you complain, you invite more stress. There's a reason why those who seek answers find them, while those who dwell on their problems often feel overwhelmed. Shifting your mindset from reaction to reflection opens up new perspectives. Instead of seeing obstacles as barriers, you start seeing them as stepping stones. Instead of focusing on the discomfort, you begin searching for the lesson within it. Seeking wisdom doesn't mean you'll get instant clarity. Sometimes the answers come in ways you didn't expect. A door might close so a better one can open. A person might walk out of your life so you can discover your own strength. A delay might be protection rather than punishment. But you won't recognize these things if you're too busy complaining to notice them. Life will always present challenges, but the way you approach them determines the outcome. Complaints don't change circumstances. Intentional action does. Asking the right questions puts you in a position to move forward rather than stay stuck. It's not about ignoring the struggle. It's about deciding how you're going to navigate through it. The moment you stop focusing on what's wrong and start searching for what's next, everything begins to shift. Waiting is one of the hardest things to do, especially when you feel like you've done everything right and nothing is changing. You've put in the work, you've prayed, you've stayed patient, but life still isn't moving at the pace you expected. It's frustrating. It makes you question if you're on the right path, if you're even meant to have what you're working toward. But here's the truth. Just because something is delayed doesn't mean it's denied. Timing matters. And sometimes what feels like a setback is actually preparation for something greater. Think about the strongest structures in the world. Before they rise high, their foundations must go deep. The process takes time, precision, and patience. If the foundation is rushed, the structure won't stand when pressure comes. The same applies to your life. The moments of waiting, of uncertainty, of seeming stagnation, they're not wasted time. They're building you. They're strengthening your foundation so that when the opportunity comes, you're truly ready to handle it. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't happen as fast as you want. It's easy to compare your journey to others, wondering why they seem to be progressing while you're still in the same place. But what you don't see is the weight they're carrying, the lessons they had to learn, the struggles they faced behind closed doors. Everyone's path is different, and just because yours looks slow doesn't mean it's the wrong one. The key is to trust that the process is working, even when you can't see the results yet. Every delay is shaping you, refining you, teaching you something that will be necessary when the breakthrough finally arrives. If you rush ahead before you're ready, you might end up losing what you were meant to keep. When life gets tough, the natural instinct is to ask, why me? It feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders and you can't understand why you're the one going through this. But the truth is, that question keeps you stuck. It makes you focus on the problem instead of the solution. It traps you in a victim mindset, making it seem like life is just happening to you rather than for you. The real shift happens when you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what now? Because that's where your power is. You may not be able to change what happened, but you can control how you respond. You can decide what happens next. Every time you focus on why, you're looking backward, trying to make sense of something that's already done. But when you ask, what now, you shift forward. You take back control. You step into action. Think about the strongest people you know. They didn't get there by dwelling on their struggles. They got there by choosing to move forward, even when it was hard. They didn't let pain define them. They used it as fuel. They didn't let disappointment break them. They let it shape them. There is always something you can do, even in the worst situations. Maybe it's changing your perspective. Maybe it's taking one small step toward a better outcome. Maybe it's realizing that this challenge isn't here to defeat you, but to develop you. The sooner you stop focusing on what's wrong and start searching for what's possible, the sooner you start turning struggle into strength. Life isn't about avoiding pain, it's about deciding what you'll do with it. Feelings are powerful, but they are also unpredictable. One day you feel strong and motivated, the next you feel overwhelmed and discouraged. If you let your emotions control you, you'll find yourself on a roller coaster. Up when things are good, down when things are bad. That's why faith has to be bigger than feelings. Feelings change, but faith is what keeps you steady when everything else is shifting. Faith isn't about ignoring reality, it's about seeing beyond it. It's knowing that just because today is hard doesn't mean tomorrow won't be better. It's believing that even in the middle of the storm, there's still a purpose, still a plan, still a way through. Feelings will tell you to quit when things don't go your way. They'll make you doubt yourself, your journey, and even your worth. But faith reminds you that struggles don't mean failure, they mean growth. When you operate based on feelings, you make choices out of fear, frustration, or doubt. You react instead of respond. But when you walk in faith, you move with purpose. You don't let temporary emotions push you away from long-term goals. You don't let one setback make you believe everything is falling apart. You remind yourself that what you see right now isn't the full picture. The key is to recognize emotions without letting them lead you. Feel them, acknowledge them, but don't let them dictate your actions. When you choose faith over feelings, you take control back from the chaos. You stop letting circumstances determine your peace. You stand firm knowing that no matter what today looks like, it's not the final chapter. Faith keeps you moving forward even when your feelings try to hold you back. When life feels overwhelming, it's easy to freeze, overthink, or get stuck in the cycle of waiting for the perfect moment. You tell yourself you'll move when things make more sense, when you feel more confident, when the fear isn't so strong. But the truth is, clarity doesn't come from sitting still. It comes from movement. The longer you wait, the heavier the problem feels. But the moment you take even one small step, everything starts to shift. Action breaks fear. When you're stuck in your head, fear multiplies. It convinces you that you're not ready, that you'll fail, that things will never change. But when you move, when you do something, anything, you disrupt that fear. Even if you don't have the full plan, even if you don't know exactly what's next, taking one step forward creates momentum, and momentum is what turns struggles into breakthroughs. That first step doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's making a phone call, having a conversation, writing down your thoughts, or simply deciding that today you're going to get up and try again. What matters isn't the size of the step. It's the decision to take it. Because once you do, the next step becomes clearer. Confidence isn't built by thinking about action, it's built by taking action. You're not meant to stay stuck. The problem you're facing right now might not have an obvious solution, but doing nothing isn't the answer. The situation may not change overnight, but every small step you take brings you closer to clarity, to progress, to the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Waiting for the perfect moment is what keeps people stuck. Moving forward, even imperfectly, is what creates change. The people you surround yourself with shape your mindset, your energy, and your ability to handle challenges. Whether you realize it or not, their words, their attitudes, and their beliefs influence you every single day. If you're constantly around negativity, doubt, and fear, it's going to seep into your thinking. If you're around people who always complain, who never take responsibility, who focus on problems instead of solutions, that energy will weigh you down. Energy is contagious. Just like being around someone who's stressed can make you feel uneasy, being around someone who's driven and positive can inspire you to push forward. That's why you have to be intentional about who you let speak into your life. Are they pushing you to grow, or are they keeping you stuck? Are they building you up, or are they filling your mind with limitations? The wrong voices can make you question your dreams before you even take the first step. This doesn't mean you cut people off for having struggles. Everyone goes through hard times. But there's a difference between someone who's fighting to rise and someone who's comfortable staying in the same cycle of negativity. Pay attention to who challenges you to be better, who holds you accountable, who encourages you when things get tough, who sees your potential even when you don't. Those are the people you need in your corner. Sometimes the biggest breakthrough comes from changing the environment you're in. You can have all the potential in the world, but if you're surrounded by people who don't believe in you, it's going to feel impossible to move forward. Be intentional. Protect your energy, because the people in your circle will either drain you. Words have power. What you speak over yourself, your situation, and your future shapes the way you experience life. If you constantly say, "I'll never get through this, I'm not strong enough," or "things never work out for me," you start to believe it. And when you believe it, you act on it. Your mind begins to look for proof that confirms those words, and before you know it, you're stuck in a cycle of doubt, frustration, and defeat. But the same is true in the opposite direction. When you choose to speak life, when you say, I will find a way, this challenge is making me stronger, or I am capable of overcoming this, you shift your perspective. You train your mind to look for solutions instead of focusing on the problem. You create an inner environment that fuels resilience rather than fear. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means being intentional about the words you allow to shape your mindset. It means replacing self-doubt with self-belief. It means refusing to let negative thoughts dictate your future. The words you speak over yourself become the foundation of your actions. If you keep saying you can't, every day you have a choice. You can speak words that tear you down, or you can speak words that build you up. You can declare defeat, or you can declare possibility. What you say matters. Because the words you repeat become the beliefs you hold, and those beliefs determine the life you create. Growth requires letting go. As much as we want to hold on to what's familiar, there are moments in life when the very thing we're clinging to is the thing that's keeping us stuck. It might be a mindset, a habit, a relationship, or even a version of yourself that no longer fits where you're going. The longer you hold on to what's not serving you, the harder it becomes to step into what's meant for you. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means making room. Making room for better opportunities, healthier connections, and a stronger version of yourself. But here's the hard truth. Growth is uncomfortable. It requires releasing things that once felt safe. It means walking away from environments that no longer align with your purpose. It means realizing that some people, no matter how much history you have with them, are not meant to go with you to your next level. The fear of letting go often comes from uncertainty. What if I don't find better? What if I regret my decision? What if I fail? But the real question is, what if holding on is what's keeping you from the life you're meant to have? Every time you refuse to let go of something that's holding you back, you delay your progress. You stay in places that drain you. You repeat cycles that no longer serve you. At some point, you have to trust that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. You have to believe that by releasing what no longer fits, you're opening the door to something far better. Growth is not about adding more. It's often about removing what no longer aligns so you can rise into who you're truly meant to be. No matter how much you plan, how much effort you put in, or how badly you want something to work out a certain way, life has a way of reminding you that you are not in full control. There will be moments when your plans fall apart, when the path you mapped out no longer makes sense, when the timing you expected is completely different from the timing that unfolds. And in those moments, frustration, fear, and doubt creep in. You wonder if you're doing something wrong. You question if you should keep going. You feel like maybe things just aren't meant to work out for you. But here's the truth. Your plan is limited, but God's plan is bigger. What feels like a setback might be protection. What seems like a rejection might be redirection. What looks like the end of something might be the beginning of something better. When you're so attached to your way of doing things, you miss the fact that sometimes the detour is the blessing. Sometimes the thing you thought you needed is actually the thing that would have held you back. Surrendering to God's plan doesn't mean you stop working hard or give up on your goals. It means you trust that even when things don't go how you expected, they're still working for your good. It means you stop forcing doors that won't open and start walking through the ones that do. It means understanding that just because you don't see the full picture yet, doesn't mean the picture isn't beautiful. Faith isn't about everything making sense in the moment. It's about trusting that one day it will. And when you look back, you'll realize that the things you thought were roadblocks were actually the moments that shaped you into exactly who you were meant to become. Life will test you. It will challenge you in ways you never expected, push you to your limits, and make you question if you have the strength to keep going. But every struggle, every delay, every unexpected turn is part of something bigger. The moments that feel like breaking points are actually building points. They are shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for what's ahead. You can't control everything, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to acknowledge the struggle instead of running from it. You can choose to seek wisdom instead of staying stuck in frustration. You can trust the process even when it doesn't make sense. You can shift your focus from why is this happening to me to what can I do next. You can silence fear by taking one step forward, no matter how small. You can be intentional about the voices you allow in your life, speaking life over yourself instead of doubt. You can recognize that growth requires letting go of old habits, old fears, and sometimes even old versions of yourself. And most importantly, you can trust that even when your plans fall apart, God's plan is still in motion. Hard times are not here to break you, they are here to build you. The struggle you're facing isn't the end of your story, it's the part where you rise. The part where you prove to yourself that you are stronger than you thought, braver than you realized, and more capable than you ever imagined. The question isn't, God, how do I handle this? The answer is, with faith, with resilience, and with the unshakable belief that what's ahead is greater than what's behind.